Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our special coverage of the first official visit by the Polish President Andrzej Duda and his First Lady to Egypt. A very remarkable and important visit that tackles various issues, including further boosting bilateral relations, cooperation in various fields such as agriculture, research, sports, tourism, international cooperation, among others, and also signing a number of memos of understanding. The President, during the press conference, said that the relations between Egypt and Poland extend for 100 years and added that Egypt looks forward to boosting bilateral cooperation in different fields. And during the press conference, the Polish president addressed the conference and said that during their talks, his talks with President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi included cooperation in also digital transformation, tourism, and regional crises. Earlier, the President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi and his Polish counterpart attended the signing ceremony of a number of memos of understanding. And in order to shed more light on this very important special visit, we're very much delighted to have with us His Excellency Ambassador Mahmoud Ayoub, former Minister Commercial, in order to know more. But first, we're going to take a break and we'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Egypt opens up to the world. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi meets with world leaders.
وأعبر لكم عن خالص الشكر والتقدير على حفاوة الاستقبال وكرم الضيافة.
Reaffirming Egypt's vision, delivering our voice abroad.
لتطوير التعاون الثنائي الاقتصادي والعسكري إلى مستويات غير مسبوقة.
Discussing regional and international developments. Solid and strong relations on the path of partnership and development.
احنا كنا دولة على وشك الانهيار ووشك الضياع، والشعب كان فاقد الامل والثقة في مستقبل افضل، وكان لابد من اعادة بناء الانطباع لدى المصريين. بعد 5 سنين بفضل الله سبحانه وتعالى وبفضل شعب مصر وتضحياته، احنا في موقف ووضع تاني خالص.
دائما برامج الإصلاح الاقتصادي برامج بتحتاج إلى رؤية سياسية وإرادة سياسية كبيرة وعزيمة شعب إن احنا ننفذ هذه الإجراءات.
أي حكومة لما بتتعامل مع قضايا شديدة الأهمية بتخضع في الاعتبار رد الفعل.
مفيش إصلاح حقيقي من غير تكلفة، عشان كده مصر وهي بتضع برنامج الإصلاح في وقتها يمكن وضعت أكبر حزمة اجتماعية في تاريخها، لأن احنا عارفين إنه الحماية الاجتماعية الحقيقية هي توفير فرص العمل.
كام مليون بيشتغل في كل مشاريع الدولة من أقصى الصعيد لغاية اسكندرية، ما يقلش عن 5 مليون.
احنا وفرنا تقريبا في حدود 900 ألف فرصة عمل سنويا، ودي الحماية الاجتماعية الحقيقية اللي فعلا بنوفرها للمواطن.
هو ده اللي مخلي المواطن النهارده عنده امل ويتحمل ويتقبل اي اجراءات اصلاحيه، لانه شايف النهارده في امل.
رد فعلكم على الإصلاح الاقتصادي كان محل تقدير واحترام شديد ليا، كان شرف ليا، تحملكم شرف.
المؤسسات الدولية الكبيرة كلها هي اللي بتقول إن مصر النهاردة نموذج نجاح لكل العالم.
ثقة فيكم انتوا، ثقة في الوعي وفي إرادة التغيير اللي موجودة في شعب مصر اللي هو السحب.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to our special coverage of the first official visit by Polish President Andrzej Duda to Egypt, a very important visit that we will discuss today with our dear guest here in the studio. We're very much honored and delighted to have with us here in the studio His Excellency Ambassador Ayoub, Mahmoud Ayoub, former Minister of Commercial. Always a pleasure having you with us, Your Excellency.
Good afternoon to you and to the viewers.
Your Excellency, to start with, this is the first official visit by the Polish President to Egypt, which means, or which comes at a very critical time during the Ukrainian crisis. How do you see the visit to Egypt?
It is very important from Egyptian point of view and also from Polish point of view. Why? The last president we have seen from Poland was Lech Wałęsa. This was 1992.
Yes.
So almost 30 years ago.
Yes.
So it comes at a critical time for both countries, and especially for Poland and Ukraine and Central European countries. Relations between two countries are almost 100 years now, and we are lucky that at the time of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, new areas of interest and cooperation, especially in economic fields and technical fields, has been initiated, and several trade agreements, technical memorandums of understanding and other agreements were signed during this, thanks to our Commercial Representation Bureau in Poland, who have prepared a good part of it. And as a result, we will see Polish companies are coming to Egypt to invest in the Suez Canal area, which is very important. One of the most important areas in which the Polish transfer of technology to Egypt is concerned is that of the transferring the cars from using benzene of liquid oil to gas, which is also done as a joint venture between Polish companies and Egyptian companies. This is very important not only for trade and economy and economic relations, but also for tourism, and also even in archaeological discoveries in Luxor, which President of Poland has referred to, and was very pleased that Poland is cooperating with Egypt in this field, which is a vast area of interest, not for today, but also for tomorrow, and also it will be reflected on tourism from Central European countries to Egypt to enjoy the luxuries which we have, whether in Luxor or in the Red Sea or in the Mediterranean, and we are very pleased for that.
Now, to take it step by step, Ambassador Ayoub, the talks covered various fields.
Yes.
Political, they discussed issues of mutual concern, of course, war on terrorism, the war in Ukraine, current regional issues that are very important to both countries.
Yes.
This is on the political level.
Yes.
On the economic level, again, there were discussions of importing gas, as you said, activating fields or agreements in various economic fields, and also cultural, because tourism, as you said, was part of the discussions today. So let's take them one by one. If we talk the political field,
it is very important that Egypt and Poland are on the same front as far as the aggression or war in, I will say, call it war in Ukraine is concerned. I will not call it aggression, but rather war in Ukraine is concerned, and they are both suffering from the repercussions. Although Egypt in this respect is benefiting in some way. We are suffering because the instability in Central Europe or in the Middle East, and the terrorism in either country affects each other and affects all the world. When we come to the situation in Ukraine and Poland, which Poland is adjacent, is a neighboring country, the immediate neighboring country, and many of refugees are about 2 million now from Ukraine to Poland, which constitutes a burden on the Polish economy, although most of the Ukraine in the Polish refugees are good labor, skilled labor, I mean. So they add to the Polish economy from a point of certain point of view, but politically they are suffering as we are suffering from the influx of refugees from several countries, from Libya, from Sudan, from Iraq, and from Lebanon, and from Syria, and we know very well how we are suffering from refugees from other countries when instability is there, whether in Central Europe or in the Middle East. Combating terrorism, the two leaders, Egyptian president and Polish president, agreed that they should be cooperating with each other as far as combating terrorism in any form and coming from any source, which is or from any direction. So this is very important for both countries. In many cases, the intelligence services of two countries cooperate in combating terrorism and would-be terrorism in either country, which is very important for both countries. When this from political point of view, there is the cultural, as which you rightly mentioned now, culture with its archaeology and tourism and recreation facilities, whether in the valley or in the Red Sea. Poland has a stake in the Egyptian economy and a stake in the Egyptian tourism, because we received many tourists from Poland, and you are ready to receive more and to enjoy. And at least the first thing they will enjoy is security, stability, and peaceful atmosphere, where in Egypt, which might not be that predominant in Poland. So this is another source of income for the Egyptian economy. I'm always concerned about economic aspects of the relations between two countries, because these are the tangible aspects which are very important, which motivates the president to fly from Warsaw or Warsaw
which
to come to
was
Egypt.
actually mentioned
Yes.
by the Polish president during the press conference, because during the press conference, President Duda said that Warsaw aspires to boosting economic cooperation
Yes.
with Egypt.
This is a very important. Why? Because it is a tangible asset in relations between the two countries. When we create areas of interest, so there are about 170 Polish companies are working in Egypt in several fields, in several ways. In the Suez Canal zone, they are taking a part in Suez Canal zone special economic zone. This is another big area of interest for the Ukraine or Polish companies in the Egyptian economy. Another area of interest in investment. The investment of Poland in Egypt are not big, because Poland itself is a receiver of foreign investors, but still they are investing in Egypt and they have a stake in the Suez Canal zone, and you are very keen to find that more cooperation is implemented. Several agreements were signed during this important visit of Polish president to Egypt, and we look forward that to enhance economic cooperation as far as investment is concerned, as far transfer of technology, and which already began. I mentioned to what the Egyptian commercial service have done in that respect, and also in the archaeology and in Luxor, which the president of Poland has referred to. And also there is another area. Transfer of technology is very important, because traditionally from 1970s and 80s, many Polish companies constructed factories in Egypt, so the know-how which is transferred from Poland need to be continued, and we need to have our own know-how and build on it, not be a receiver only of know-how, foreign know-how, but also to have Egyptian know-how as far as Egyptian economy is concerned. Polish companies are coming to Egypt, they are welcome. We have a liberal investment law, which they are enjoying now, and the investments should be pouring in this big economy, I will say big market for the Polish companies. There is another area. With the Ukraine war and after the COVID thing, we find that there was a disruption in the flow of material from sources to their destinations. So disruption of this flow adversely impacted Ukraine and also Polish economy. Egyptian companies luckily stepped in and are supplying the Polish market with its needs, especially from fruits, vegetables, textiles, cloth, polymers for this pharmaceutical, this is petrochemical industry, this polymers. They are supplying the Polish market with these material, with the inputs and finished products like grapes and so on, pomegranates and capsicum and other Egyptian vegetables and fruit and this is a newcomer to the market. Thanks to the market survey which was done by our Egyptian Commercial Service in Warsaw, but most importantly, we look for tomorrow. When the two presidents sign several, I say several, they are about 7 or more than 7, in fact, bilateral agreements in economy, in transfer of technology, in foreign investment, in
international cooperation,
in international
agriculture,
cooperation,
research, sports, and diplomatic affairs.
Yes, this is important. When we say diplomatic, in many cases we find that we relieve the Polish tourists from the cost of the visa, make it minimal for them as a preference, so that they encourage more Polish tourists to come to Egypt. This is something very important, and it is a reciprocal treatment, by the way. When we relieve them of some dues or duties, they do the same for Egyptian businessmen who go to Poland and see how they can expand their presence in the Polish economy, and also to invite and encourage Polish investors to come to Egypt and invest in several areas which are open for foreign investment in Egypt, like for energy, industry, power, land reclamation, and also what we call market research or agricultural research, which is very important for the new crops which we are, as we have here now. We are trying now to cultivate and grow wheat and rice on the salty water or the sea water, or with the minimum requirement of normal water from the Nile. So we are creating a substitute for the water of Nile in the new areas which is reclaimed in Egypt, thanks to the transfer of technology, and also the Polish companies who are coming to invest in this vast area, which will be reflected on our production of cereals, especially wheat and rice.
Yes,
so there is a lot of interest between the two countries, and we need to expand it and push it as far as, because the president himself is taking care and paying attention.
Which was actually mentioned because the Polish president invited President Abdel Fattah Sisi to visit Warsaw soon. So I guess that visit would be like a follow-up on what has been achieved.
This is the most practical way.
Yes.
When the president himself goes to the country, the business people surround him and they go and see and look around what can we do for the mutual. It is always mutually beneficial relationship between the two countries and two parties in Poland and in Egypt. We are very pleased to see that, and we hope that the Egyptian private sector and also public sector to make benefit of what the president has initiated, and this is, it's a pioneer in this respect, and they have to follow and try to expand relations, economic, industry, transfer of technology, and also investment. And I mentioned earlier, to what the Polish
the talks, since the talks covered so many aspects, we still have a lot to talk about. But first, we're going to watch a special report about this very important visit, and we'll be right back. Stay tuned. Poland's president is visiting Egypt for meetings with President Abdel Fattah Sisi on the Ukraine war and the resulting food crisis. Polish President Andrzej Duda is accompanied by First Lady Agata Kornhauser-Duda. On the agenda of the Polish president, who stays in Egypt for 3 days, is meeting with the Polish community in Cairo. Duda is scheduled to hold talks with Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli, as well as attend a Polish-Egyptian economic forum, among other meetings. Prior to the visit, a senior Polish presidential aide said that the discussions with senior officials in Egypt would focus on the food situation. Egypt is among dozens of states that import much of their grain from Russia and Ukraine. The Polish official said that this could also help alleviate the hunger caused by the war with its own exports. Meanwhile, during Duda's visit, Poland and Egypt are expected to initiate talks on the sale of Egyptian liquefied natural gas to Poland as the country looks to become independent from Russian gas.
Egypt opens up to the world. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi meets with world leaders.
وأعبر لكم عن خالص الشكر والتقدير على حفاوة الاستقبال وكرم الضيافة.
Reaffirming Egypt's vision, delivering our voice abroad.
لتطوير التعاون الثنائي الاقتصادي والعسكري إلى مستويات غير مسبوقة.
Discussing regional and international developments. Solid and strong relations on the path of partnership and development.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Still with you in our special coverage with His Excellency Ambassador Mahmoud Ayoub, former Minister Commercial, in order to shed more light on the very important visit by the Polish President, President Andrzej Duda, to Egypt, his first official visit. And in order to know more, we're joined over the phone by His Excellency Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi to tell us more. Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, of course, former Assistant Foreign Minister. A very good day to you, Your Excellency.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you very much.
My
Ambassador
regards
Bayoumi.
to your guests, my dear friend, Dr. Ayoub.
Thank you.
Both of you always honor us here in Nile TV International. I'd like to ask you, Ambassador Bayoumi, how do you see the importance of the Polish President to Egypt?
For an old diplomat like myself, I celebrated last week 61 years in the Egyptian diplomacy. I see that Poland is one of the oldest relations with us in Europe. They mentioned during the summit that it is almost 100 years ago. Poland also was the center for the pact between Russia and the Eastern European countries, Warsaw Pact. And for the amazing situation now that Warsaw left the Warsaw Pact and devoted itself to the NATO and to the European Union. And when they joined the European Union, we were already in. We signed our agreement, the Egyptian-European Association Agreement, in 2001. Then Poland came, and then whatever we agreed with the 15 member states up till 2001, now it comes to cover our relations with Poland. This means that the trade between Egypt and Poland is exempted from any custom duties or any trade barriers. Also, I enjoyed exchange experience with my Polish counterpart during our negotiations, because we were ahead of them negotiating with Europe, and there were difficult points. We were really in a good position to exchange experience with our main partners.
Yes, definitely.
Poland means to us in the previous time that it was one member of the what we call the Eastern Bloc. They were our main trade partner by 61% of our trade. After the end of the communism in this part of the world and the destroying of the Berlin Wall, they became a free economy. And we also were ahead of them by applying free economy in Egypt. So their relation with us was deteriorated to 11%, the whole bloc. Now it is quite reasonable that we gain again or regain our relation with this part of the world, whether it is Romania, Bulgaria, Hungary, and Czech, and Poland, of course.
Yes.
Because it was one of our traditional markets. We can export a lot to them. we can depend on them for our supplies of some sort of food like wheat and cereal in general. We became, during this time, to be one main supplier of vegetables and fruits to Europe in general, and it applies to Poland also. The President of Poland mentioned the volume of tourism and tourists coming from Poland to Egypt, 300,000. This is enormous figure. One dimension also we have to stress that we have one of our best Egyptian community in the whole world. In Europe, we have more than 1 million Egyptians living in a very good condition in the European part of the world. And lately, we were leading a sort of a program to benefit from the experience of Europe in all our Egyptian institutions. So I led personally a sort of a program to support the Egyptian institutions by the experience coming from Europe. Mm-hmm. So we used Finland to support our education. We used Austria to support our tourist system. We used Sweden to make our maritime safety much better. So really we benefit a lot from our relation with Europe. That's why I think I am looking forward to continue this with Poland and all the Eastern states members of the European Union.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'd like to thank you very much, Your Excellency Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, former assistant foreign minister. Always a pleasure, of course, having you with us here on Now TV International. And you tackled a very important part of the discussion, which is the historical background. So I'd like to thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Now, back to you, Ambassador Ayoub.
Yes.
We're linking the past and the future and the present here.
Yes.
During this visit. One of the topics also discussed was climate change and its effect on the world. It's a global phenomenon, of course, but it was discussed in light of the upcoming COP27 that will be hosted here in Egypt in November in Sharm el-Sheikh.
In Sharm el-Sheikh this year, inshallah. Mm-hmm. And this is a new area which is Egypt is focusing on, because although we are not big players as far as the contamination of the atmosphere, but still when they call this COP22 in Egypt, this means that the world is keen to see what Egypt has done and come to enjoy the weather and the climate in Sharm el-Sheikh, and also Egyptian hospitality, and most importantly investing in Egypt as far as the near future is concerned. Many countries are coming, many heads of states, will I say, and the international organizations are coming to Sharm el-Sheikh in November this year, inshallah, and this will be a very good chance for the Egyptian business persons and also media to familiarize themselves of the needs and also to raise awareness of the importance of environment. Environment is something which touches all our livelihoods, from the air to the sea, from the water, everything. The Egyptian company has done a lot in this respect, and we will see how the world is going in this respect. The United States is coming, China will be attending, India. These are the big contaminators of the world, of course, these three countries, and they are coming to Egypt to see how they can better serve humanity through cooperation, because we cannot compete in each other in contaminating the pollution and disrupting the ozone. We are all having interest in creating a common ground, so can we cooperate to make life easier and less polluted for us and for the next generations. This is something which we are very pleased. It began in 1992 in Brazil, and now it is implemented 2 or 3 times. The latest was in Indonesia, and we are very pleased to see that they are coming to Egypt to see how the world can cooperate together in ensuring a better environment for all and less pollution for all, and also minimizing the effects of the fuel. The fuel,
fossil fuel.
Yes, and this is something which is very important, because using gas is better than using petrol. And Egypt has gas, by the way, and we are liquefying gas and exporting it to Europe in this respect. And there are many areas of interest between Egypt and European countries as far as COP22 is concerned, as far as investment is concerned, and also bilateral trade, which has increased last year. Egyptian exports, by the way, I'm complimenting with His Excellency Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi. Thank you for him. And last year in 2021, our Egyptian exports to Poland has increased by 6% to reach about $210 million. It was 160, now it is 210. So this is one of the side effects of disruption, of change of supply to the European countries. And Egyptian businessmen are encouraged to go and see and explore how to increase not only their exports, but their presence in these markets, which is very important for them and for the Egyptian economy. When I say their exports means foreign exchange. Foreign exchange will be reflected in the balance of trade. Balance of trade will be reflected on our balance of payment, and will increase our receipts from foreign currency and minimize our debts to the outer world, which is very important, whether for the economy or even for the citizen. He enjoys more. When you say exports, this means that the side effects of more exports are enjoyed by all the players in this field, whether producers or those who are rendering service, or byproducts, which we sometimes import byproducts, which is imported. So we do not look to the imports as a bad thing. Imports in many cases are substitution, and they are used as a part of our exports to the European countries. I will say in many cases, Egyptian companies have imported technology from Poland and other countries to put it in their products, and it is re-exported to European countries, and the value addition here is very high in this respect. We see that the President has paved the way for the Egyptian business to make use of his initiative, and he, inshallah, he will be visiting Warsaw soon, when it is agreed on the timing, and it will be a new beginning for the Egyptian businessmen to go and explore ways of increasing not only trade but also investment, transfer of technology. And also Poland is a really sophisticated and developed country as far as industry is concerned. So there is a lot which we can do together in the Egyptian market. And when I say Egyptian market, the Egyptian market is a hub for other markets, and many companies are now coming to Egypt to invest in Egypt and the Suez Canal, especially in Suez Canal zone, so that they export to Arab countries where we have multilateral trade agreements with them, and also to African countries which we enjoy bilateral trade agreements, and many whether bilateral or multilateral trade agreements with them. And so this is a market for the Polish companies to come invest and increase the value of production of the Egyptian companies, who are keen, and I think they are keen to increase their capabilities and increase their reach to modern technology and sophisticated technology, which are making use of. This is one thing. Other thing is that when we say modern technology, we see the know-how which is transferred from Polish companies to Egypt are transferred so that they can complement. They are not creating, but rather complementing what we have. We have a lot in the way, by the way. We have a lot which we need to, if we go to, for example, to the Western Desert, to Siwa and this part of Egypt, which is the dear part of Egypt. We see many companies are coming to Siwa to see how they can use the resources, which, when I say resources, I will say dates, for example. I will say rock salt, for example. I will say the byproducts of this, the palm trees. They are used in the paper industry. There is a lot to invest in Egypt, and we encourage and let them come and see and stay for some time to see how they can use the normal resource, the national resources, so they can expand it and make use of it for joint venturing in many areas in Egypt. When I say we are always taking care of the Red Sea and tourism in the Red Sea, but there's another production sector. This is the Western Desert. The Western Desert of Egypt is rich. It's rich in its natural resources, and many those who are taking the initiative to go to Siwa and El Kharga oasis and the inner and the three oases in the Western Desert have found a lot of investment opportunities, which we are exploiting now to the mutual benefit of the Egyptians and Polish or Europeans or any other investors who are welcome to come to the Western Desert to invest. We welcome the Polish companies to come and see how they can transfer their technology and also create areas of interest, whether in agricultural production, land reclamation, energy, even in the wind energy, and in non-traditional or green, we'll say green energy, which we are expanding now in many parts of Egypt with the help of European and American companies who are coming to invest in green energy, in green hydrogen as we call it, in a lot of areas which we are expanding, and Egypt is keen to expand, and we are we'll say on the fourth year as far as a development area is concerned, and the results are reflected on the growth rate in Egypt was 3.7. On the many other countries where it is at standstill or the growth rate is minus. Luckily, we are seeing this good percentage of. We have inflation like all the world, of course, but we are at the same time we are producing and exporting to Poland. Our exports, for example, just one example, increased 60%, 67% in the last year, and this is just the beginning. And we encourage Egyptian companies, Egyptian exporters to go. We cannot export while we are standing in our offices, but we have to go to the market and see and touch and even taste what is used and how they use it, and how we can better fit ourselves in the market. And a lot of Egyptian exporters are going to the African, I would say African in this respect, not only European markets, to see for themselves. And in many cases, when they need support and help from the Egyptian commercial service, they don't hesitate to give them, and give them even the information which they need before they travel to these countries. A lot of interest of the Egyptian company and a lot of interest in the Egyptian economy, and we encourage new investors to come, whether in economy or in tourism or in the Western Desert. They are most welcome.
Yes. I'd like to thank you very much, Your Excellency Ambassador Ayoub Mahmoud Ayoub, for sharing such valuable information with us and with our audience. Thank you very much for being with us. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us in our special coverage of the first official visit of the Polish President Andrzej Duda to Egypt and all the aspects of this very important visit. I'm Hala Al-Hamalawi. Thank you very much for joining us.